Ladies and gentlemen, we'll go ahead and call this meeting of the Lafayette Parish School Board to order. First item on the agenda is Pledge of Allegiance and moment of silence. Our colors are being presented by the ROTC, the JROTC, United States Navy, from Como. Next on the agenda is our opening comments. Superintendent Touchette.
Thank you, Board President, members of the board, members of the public. A couple of updates for you is one, right now we are going through testing. Things are going real well as far as ELPT testing, and Leap Connect testing will begin for all students as far as Leap starting April 1. Really want to first of all give a shout out to our principals and our teachers who are preparing our kids, and look forward to a great testing season. Secondly, I have gone through all city council and parish council meetings, and I've updated the entire councils throughout the district on your district optimization plan and also different projects that are happening within those different communities. The third thing is tonight we will hear lots of different things in reference to the success that has happened at Barranco and also J.W. Falk. Dr. Robele will go through that. I want to first of all personally thank Mr. Nick Pugh and the entire Pugh Foundation for what they have done, but more importantly for what they will do moving forward. That concludes my comments.
Thank you, Mr. Touchette. We'll move on to information items. 2.1 is academics, presentation and recap of Accelerating Campus Experience ACE initiative in progress at Dr. Rafael A. Barranco and J.W. Falk Elementary. Dr. Robele.
Thank you, Mr. President. So I'm excited to bring up members of the Pugh Foundation to talk through this year's progress so far with two of our ACE schools, J.W. Falk and Rafael Barranco. We have seen amazing results at these two campuses at this point in the year, and so we would love to share with you all where we're at midpoint as we head into the final part of the season, not only with students and learning in the class, but also extended learning and all of the things they're doing to extend the day for students and keep kids engaged throughout the school year. So Mr. Pugh and Mr. Mouton, if you could join us.
There's no volume.
Being an ACE teacher has truly been to see the
So I think we can agree we were very nervous at first.
When this opportunity first came out, we were not even thinking that we would do it.
We went to the dinner, and I think what really got us was, number one, Miss Otwell's speech. And then we also knew the Pew Foundation was behind it, and they've helped us out a lot with our Teach Out Loud conference.
They support education, and we trusted that if the Pew family was behind the ACE initiative, that we could really trust in what they were doing with these schools.
So the most rewarding part about being an ACE teacher has truly been to see the return in all that we are investing in our students here at Barranco. Like I said, we are working tirelessly to get these students where they need to be, and we've already seen results. Our first graders, we have so many who are now at benchmark or above.
If a teacher's applying to come to an ACE school, I would say definitely do it. I was ready for a change, and this is the best decision I think I ever could have made. I have no regrets whatsoever. It's just a whole eye-opening experience, and I really love it, and I think you will too.
Dr. Robley?
Yes, sir. So if I could turn your attention just real quick to a reminder of the 5 pillars when we talk about ACE and the campuses and what it means. So really, again, this was dedicated around identifying the high-quality teachers and principals in our district, also providing high-quality instruction. Like I said, extending that school day. We've also connected them to social workers and counselors. And then finally, trying to connect the community back to the schools and trying to just impart more community just efforts in those schools as well. Next slide. And so you can see right here the average ACE campus and where we are trying to go for the next few years as far as improving letter grades in our ACE schools. And so, guys, I don't think it really doesn't do justice. When you're on that campus, the kids this year are getting the same high quality instruction as every student in a high quality school across the district. And so we are so proud of the growth that students are making and just the efforts that teachers are making in those schools to provide the highest quality instruction at those sites.
Is it my turn to speak? All right, guys. Well, Dr. Barranco is probably smiling as he looks down on this gathering tonight. He was the first Black American elected to this board, and the Lord took him out a little quicker than we'd like to see him. Now, the success at these schools is basically due to, first of all, Superintendent Touchette had the sense to say, let's try it. And then he got the best and brightest principals and teachers to go to those 2 schools. And they are on track by May of 26. Those schools have a very good chance of being at A or B schools. That's the first time that those schools have had success in a long time. And they will be the pace setters. But without the dedication of the principals and teachers, this wouldn't happen. So we're excited, along with Dr. Barranco, to participate in this program.
And I just want to say thanks. I'm Todd Mouton with the Pew Family Foundation. I want to thank everyone here because it's been a Herculean effort and it's achieved astonishing results so far. A long way to go, but I think it's a model of what the community can do, and we all work together. And of course, in a few minutes, we've got a very large check we'd like to offer y'all so we can expand the program to Alice Boucher Elementary. Thanks.
Superintendent?
Yeah, first of all, again, Mr. Nick, again, you and your family has been, no doubt, extremely generous to Lafayette Parish. And most important thing that I want to say to our board and to the rest of the community is that Mr. Pugh, along with his family, they don't have to do what they're doing. And you'll see in a few minutes, again, the generosity that will, again, extend. And I just want to first of all thank you, because we are going to make not only state, but we're going to make national news with what is happening at these 2 schools. So thank you on behalf of our entire system.
Board members? Yes, you can.
I just want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart. I know the minute Hannah and I were elected, Mr. Pugh had us in a room and he said, what are you going to do to make every school an A school? And we said, we don't know, we just got here, we're not sure what to do. But with his efforts and support through Love Our Schools, through the cafes, through everything that he has, and Mr. Mouton have come up with to bring the community around the schools, and then to bring all of this additional support funds, ideas, innovation, research, data, all of that, they brought that to us. And that is something that, really, without their partnership, we would not be able to be in this position. So I want to say that, Lafayette Parish is outstanding, but we all know that there are areas in which we can improve. And these areas were probably the largest where we need improvement. We all know that the early education is the foundation of a success for a child. And if a child can't read by 3rd grade, they're probably not going to be at that point able to read to understand, because at that point they're learning to read so that they can then later read to understand. And so I just want to say that we are so grateful. The community of Lafayette is so grateful. And I'm so thankful that you've decided to invest in education, because that it will be your legacy forever. And we're thankful.
Any other board comment? Ms. Mason?
I also wanted to echo Kate's sentiments. Everything that you have thought about doing, you have figured out how to do it, and you have followed through. Lafayette Parish is going to be better and better for generations to come. You are truly catching up and putting children who need the best teachers possible in front of them. And I really thank you for seeing that and making it happen. Thank you.
Mr. Bergeron?
Oh, I'm gonna keep this short and sweet, but to Todd and Mr. Nick, Joanne, Vanessa too, because I know the work that you do in the cafe programs as well. Feels like a year ago, right, when we sat down and we got that first check, and I was like, I didn't know what would come out of it, and I think the numbers speak for itself. The work that we put in, the trust that we have, you trusted us to make sure that we got the work done, and we trust you guys for the support. And when Nick said that school could be an A or B school in 2 years, I thought he was crazy, but now I think he's more of a genius than crazy, or maybe a crazy genius, right? But like the numbers show that we're going to get there, and I appreciate you for all that you do and the work that we're going to continue to do there, because I think it's worth it for those kids and those parents who wake up every day, parents who put their kids on a bus every day and trust that they're getting the best education that they can. That we're doing it, and it feels good. It feels good. So thank you all. Words can't show my appreciation for what you've done for us. So thank you.
Mrs. Zarmo?
At first, I thought everybody was crazy because you took some of the best people I had in my schools. So I was like, welcome to the school board, right? But it has worked out, and it's actually one of the coolest things. It's just watching it. It's like a flower, right? It's blooming. And we know they have the best people there. There's plenty of other people, too, waiting in the wings to join the program. I'm just glad to be on the board for this inaugural move that we made. And it's not our legacy, but I can always look back at this and know that it made an impression on the schools for years to come. This is going to touch kids for the next 30 years. So thank y'all so much.
Ms. Trahan?
So considering that the 2 current ACE schools, Barranco and Falk, are in District 4, I would be remiss if I didn't say thank you for providing the resources that has been void for several years. And it shows that putting the resources into the school does matter, and it makes an impact. And when we talk about legacy, we're not just talking about a legacy for that child. We're talking about a legacy for their families and the future communities within. And so it's bigger than just this year, just these few months. This will be something that when our grandkids are still here and we're gone, we will look back and say, that was the right thing to do. Thank you.
Mr. Edmond?
I want to tell Mr. Pugh and Todd, thank you very much. The same thing Kate and Hannah spoke about when I first became a school board member. Me and Amy sat down with you as well, and y'all said the same thing, and I want to appreciate that what's going on in District 4, and I'm like a kid in a candy store waiting to see what happened in District 3. I can't wait for Bobcats to be part of this ACE model. So thank y'all very much.
Mr. Hidalgo?
Not going to sit this one out. Short and sweet. You guys always ask the tough questions, try to hold us and the system accountable, but you always put your money where your mouth is, and we thank you for your generosity and that community and the entire parish. I appreciate you.
Mr. Lejeune?
Yes, sir. I mean, what else can be said? You know, I do want to thank y'all. I appreciate it for the parish, and of course for the students and the parents that attend those schools. Y'all have done an outstanding job, and you know the data, of course, proves how well it's working. So again, thank you.
And I'll show my board what short and sweet is. Thank you. We'll move on to the next information item. Y'all take y'all time getting up. 2.2, Louisiana Music Educators Association honorees. Mr. Bergeron, Ms. Mason.
Yes. So Mr. Gleason, Mr. Gaspard, if you can come up first, please. So just if you want to sit. Yes, please.
The floor is yours.
Want to say a few words?
Sure. So I guess I'll speak for Mr. Gleason and myself. Just about a month ago, we were in New Orleans at the Louisiana Music Educators Conference, and we were awarded the Standard of Excellence Award. So very cool. You know, we're with our colleagues from the whole state, and for 2 programs to get recognized, Mr. Gleason, Lafayette High School, myself, LJ Alamo Middle School, you know, 2 schools from Lafayette Parish out of the whole state. So it was very cool. We're very proud of our students, and we thank you so much for the time to be here and recognizing us.
Yes, congratulations. If I can have the floor for a second, Mr. Latchley? Thank you so much. So, trying to think of what I would say, right? Because it's always challenging to show my appreciation for y'all. But band is special for me because, you know, I was a band nerd, and I had the privilege of being taught by Mr. Robert Wilhite. And if you know the man, he's fantastic. But he taught me that band was like where like discipline and creativity come together, and where teamwork helps these young students build confidence, and it helped me find my own voice, right? Because I was never really good at sports, but like band was where I succeeded a lot of. And band was more than just like music for me. It was a life-changing experience in the way I viewed life, and it taught me the responsibility and perseverance and the power of collaboration with people, right? Multiple voices, the same harmony. But at the heart of all this is you, right? The band directors. And you serve not just as educators, but mentors to students in our district. And you don't just teach the notes and the rhythms, right? You ignite passion, and you teach character, and you inspire these young musicians to push beyond their limits. I know you see it, right? From the time they start to the time they finish, the transformation that you do, and you help them find the joy and the hard work and the expression they have in music. And you know, the world moves fast, and they demand a lot from our students, and band reminds us of the value of persistence and practice and perseverance. And you know, it's not just about playing the instrument, it's about learning the skills that shape these young successful students, you know. And for that, we owe you a great deal of thanks, not only to the dedicated band directors like yourself, but to the parents who go and drag equipment out at all hours of the night and follow the band around and make sure that our students are there in the bandstands cheering on our teams. And for that, I can't thank everyone enough for that. So if you're a band parent in the room, if you want to stand up and see the people who support you, they're there. Those parents are there, all right? They're there when it's 100+ degrees outside in the field while you practice, and they do it because they believe in the work that you do and the way it shapes their kids. And then for that, I can't be thankful enough for the work you do. So congratulations on the awards. It's well deserved.
Ms. Mason?
I also want to say congratulations, and though I was not in the band at El Jalama or Lafayette High, my best friends were in the band, and it gives me, when Roddy was talking about the confidence and everything, my friends who started off in the band and then got into the Lafayette High Band, I just saw them gain such incredible confidence, and they knew they were on this amazing team. And, you know, even to this day, like, I send them all the updates about Lafayette High's band and all that, and they just, you know, it's like we're kids again, talking about how great the band still is. But from a personal perspective, I've always appreciated the music, and I just want to commend you on truly embracing the culture of Lafayette. Our music is so good, and everybody in this room can't deny it, and just to know that y'all are passing along this incredible culture of loving music to our kids, thank you so much.
We really appreciate it. Lafayette High has been a special place since the 1950s, and it couldn't have been what it is without the teachers there, and the parents, and the kids throughout the years, and the administrators, and the school board members, and the superintendents that have supported music education. We really appreciate it.
Thank you all very much. Before we move on to the consent agenda, I'm going to offer a moment of privilege, especially being I finished in second place. Though I have 5 trophies, but I finished second. So I will turn the floor over, to the first place finisher. I'll give you a minute or two to, you know, rub it in, ma'am, rub it in.
Oh, thank you, Mr. President. I just brought my awards just to rag you a little, but I'm very honored that as part of 4-H spends a lot of time in our schools, and through the 4-H grants, we've been able to do school gardens in almost all the schools. The teachers have to apply for the grant, and then they have to put in extra work, time, resources to build out this garden and guide their students through, you know, the careful cultivation. But the students are so engaged in getting and learning how food grows and nutrition, and it's just such a great lesson. I was very honored for my son to be on the Ernest Galette team. So every year they do a big cook-off, and they have to have an elected official and a chef with the team. And so I'm very honored that I've gotten to serve twice now with the Marshall BO team, and we have beaten everybody 2 years in a row. And no, but it's been a great privilege. The kids are just so enthusiastic. And then as a result of being the winning meal, we will be served as in the fall, I believe. The cafeteria will serve the meal, but the kids have to incorporate ingredients that they've grown themselves, and they also have to present on all of the nutrition facts on their the foods that they've incorporated, the vegetables that they've grown, or the fruits that they've grown, and all of the nutrition facts. So congratulations, Marshall BO. Congratulations to all the schools. Thank you to all the teachers who take the time to do the grant and take the time to instill in their students all of this additional nutritional information. I know for my son, he still talks about it. So it's such an impactful thing. I just want to say thank you to all the schools, and thank you to all my worthy competitors. And next year, we'll see how we do.
And I'm sure all of y'all that know me, there was no trash talking before. But I do have 3 first place, a second place, and a third place with Charles Burke. And if you think you're going to three-peat, ain't going to happen. I'm telling you right now. And if you're not here, you want to watch the board meeting next month, I think the teams will be here. It'll actually be on the agenda. And the teams will come here and do the same presentation they did there. And it's pretty amazing to see these young kids. It is. We're going to go to the consent agenda. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to read each item. A board member may pull an item. If not, we vote them in globo. Comments are allowed. You have 3 minutes to speak. For or against the item. It is not a question and answer with board members. It is not a debate. It's for or against. And one other thing I want to make comment of that was brought to my attention, which I have failed at, and probably every board president before me. When we have an agenda item, we allow public comment, then board comment. If we go to substitute motion, there is no more public comment. It is straight board comment. If you have a second substitute motion, it is board comment, no public comment. Public comment is only allowed once. That is per Robert's rules. I've been on the board 11 years. We have never adhered to that rule. We will moving forward because we were advised by our attorney that we were doing it wrong. So just to let you know, if we don't go back to public comment on substitute motions going forward, and backwards. If we end up back at the original motion, there is no public comment. So when I ask for public comment, if you want to speak, please speak, because you don't know if they're going to have a substitute motion until it gets to board comment. So with that being said, 3.1, discussion and or action concerning the acceptance of a $1.9 million gift from the Pew Family Foundation and other community philanthropic partners to support the implementation of the Accelerating Campus Excellence ACE model at Alex Boucher Elementary. Ms. Gordon, I may need stronger glasses in the future.
Do we need to pull that?
3, huh? Nah, I'm good
Should
for right
we pull it for presentation?
3, huh?
Okay, no, sorry.
3.2, discussion and or action concerning revisions to Magnet Academy procedures. 3.3, discussion and or action concerning an update to current job descriptions. 3.4, discussion and or action concerning the proposed plan of reorganization and reclass of staff and changes in job descriptions related thereto. 3.5, discussion and or action concerning the discontinuation of the Army ROTC Magnet Academy program at Acadiana High School beginning in the 2025-2026 school year. 3.6, discussion or action to issue a request for proposal to explore food service management company options. 3.7, discussion or action concerning resolution 02-025-2117 school board member training. 3.8, discussion or action concerning resolution 02-025-2114 Black History Month. 3.9, discussion and or action concerning resolution 02-025-2116 National Teen Dating Violence Awareness and Prevention Month. 3.10, discussion and or action concerning resolution 0.25-2125 National School Resource Officer Appreciation Day. 3.11, discussion and or action concerning resolution 02-025-2115 National School Counseling Week of February 3rd to February 7th. Better take a break. 3.12, discussion and or action concerning non-renewal of existing facility environmental and mechanical services maintenance service agreement ending June 30th, 2025, and enter into negotiations with Star Service Incorporated for all the facilities in zones 1, 2, 3, and 4. 3.13, discussion and or action to close out projects not started and to transfer project funds to contingency with the self-funded construction fund. 3.14, discussion and or action to use contingency funds and reallocated funds for improvements to facilities. 3.15, discussion and or action concerning the construction management at risk, CMAR, for the new wing additions and renovations at Acadiana High School, Judy's Middle School, and LJ Alamo Middle School. 3.16, discussion and or action concerning resolution 02-025-2118 to amend the Lafayette Parish School Board's 1% sales and use tax ordinance effective December 1st, 1965. 3.17, discussion or action concerning resolution 02-025-2120 to amend the Lafayette Parish School Board's 0.5% sales and use tax ordinance. 3.18, discussion and or action concerning resolution 02-025-2119 to amend the Lafayette Parish Board's 0.5% sales tax and use ordinance 12-01-1362 effective January 1st, 2002. 3.19, discussion or action concerning resolution 02-025-2122 execute agreement to receive funds from Act 776 of the 2024 regular legislative session. 3.20, discussion and or action concerning the January budget to actual revisions for fiscal year 24-25. 3.12, discussion and or action concerning proposed revisions to policy BBC, school board committees. 3.22, discussion and or action concerning revisions to policy CG, administrative records. 3.23, Authorization of the superintendent to implement a reduction in force, RIF.
Can you pull that one, Britt? Pull for clarification, please.
Okay. (3.24) Superintendent, discussion and or action concerning the minutes of December 18th, 2024, and January 8th, 17th, and 18th, 2025. 3.25 is approval of all action consent items. Ladies and gentlemen, I would now accept a motion to approve all items not pulled.
Mr. President, I make a motion that we approve all action consent items not pulled.
Second, please. We have a motion by Mr. Bergeron, second by Mr. DeZarmo, that we approve all items not pulled. The only item pulled was 3.23. We will now open the floor up for public discussion. If you come up, you have 3 minutes, and please state which agenda item you're speaking on. You want to put? Okay, we're going to go ahead. We're going to go ahead and pull 3.1 for to be able to present the check. Come on up, Ms. Reed.
Julia Reed, President, Lafayette Parish Association of Educators. I'm speaking on the item for the food service request for proposal. Our organization does not just represent teachers. It is a common misnomer that we're a teacher organization. We are an educator organization. It includes all educators, everyone who works on a school campus, even some that don't. And food service and nutrition workers are a valued part of our association and our schools. And we do not wish to see their jobs taken by a private food service company. They are part of our school community, and we would like to see them remain. They know our kids' names, they know who we are, we feel safe with them, we love them. I'd especially like to shout out Miss Sandy Cologne and Miss Mary Cormier and Miss Tammy at my school, who are wonderful and feed our students wonderful meals every single day. And they provide a service, and we trust them, and we feel safe with them on campus. And we would like you to consider keeping them instead of a private company. Food service has turnover, which means more different people will be coming in contact with the children and also the staff, something that we feel does not maybe meet with the core value of safety that we have in our district. A food service company, private food service, has one of the highest turnover rates of any industry. And that is something that makes a lot of people who work on a staff campus uncomfortable, to know that you could have different people every week, every month, even more so than the turnover we already have. And then I'd also like to speak as a parent. It does make me uncomfortable at the thought of a food service company being on campus with my child. I have one currently enrolled in LPSS, and I will have 2 more in the future. I will be with you for at least 18 more years. So we would ask that, we look at avoiding this option. I know it's just a proposal, but we would prefer those community jobs to stay in our community with our food service workers. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Reed.
Mr. President. Because we have so many consent agenda items that were not pulled, if a board member wishes to ask a question to the superintendent or make a statement on an item that someone speaks on, can we do it immediately afterwards instead of waiting until everyone speaks? Because, we got 20-something items not pulled.
That would be a question for Mr. Hammonds.
The answer is yes. It's up to the chair. The chair can allow comments immediately, I'm assuming responsive to the comments made from the member of the audience. Is that what you're asking?
Right.
That's established. You don't usually have conducted your meetings in that fashion, but it's not prohibited.
As long as we can keep it under control, knowing that we have board member comment coming at the end. Do you have something you need to say, sir?
Yes.
Well, I would figure you do. Go ahead.
I would like to partially agree with the young lady when she said our food service workers are an integral part of our organization. They're often underpaid. No, they are underpaid and often many of them overworked. However, I do have a question for the superintendent related to this because I do have concerns about the same concerns I'll share your concerns, sir. And so private schools, charter schools, how are they handling their food service? Are you aware?
Well, first of all, let me clarify that everything that was just stated now is nothing of which we're trying to accomplish. We're just getting permission to look into whether or not we would get food service, a different food service. I am aware that charter schools do such a thing to where they actually go and look outside to an outside organization. The one thing that I can assure all of our cafeteria ladies that we actually visit you when we go through the schools is that this has nothing to do with replacing. My goal is to make sure that we have hot meals for breakfast and for lunch. And I can tell you what we're doing right now in the cafeteria is far from that. Again, this is just to get permission from this board to look into this. This is not making any decisions. This has nothing to do with adults, nothing to do whatsoever. And this is something that is happening outside of the public school system.
Thank you. We'll continue with public comment. If somebody else has something to say, you can always continue to fill the chairs as we go. Go ahead, sir. State your name and what item you're speaking on, please.
Yes, thank you. My name is Michael Cooper, Division President with Bernhard, speaking on 3.12 relative to the HVAC renewal, I guess against the motion as it's currently written. So my responsibilities with Bernhard is relative to service, operations, and maintenance in our energy management group across the country. I've met some of you in the past. You know, certainly we were founded in Louisiana in 1919, and we've been privileged to be part of the school district for at least the last decade. And it's certainly the service we provided has evolved over the last decade. You know, the intent of how that service was provided has changed based upon the needs of the district. And we fully expect in conversations we've had that the needs are going to change yet again. Certainly with some of the budget constraints, as well as how do you adapt to the energy efficiency needs and operational expenses and capital renewal needs that are upcoming. And so fully understand there being a change. I guess the reason that we're here and that we feel that we have a value proposition strategically that we've provided in the past and want to provide in the future to really provide opportunity on what that option should look like. You know, that technical maintenance program, really investing the dollars where they make sense. And we work with clients, universities, healthcare providers throughout the state of Louisiana and nationwide, and certainly have over 200 HVAC service technicians just in the state of Louisiana. That's on top of what people know us for, which is our construction and engineering side. That's another 600 or 700 employees in Louisiana. But neither here nor there. Our service group is something that we're pretty proud of, and especially in Lafayette. And so we feel there's a value proposition to be had. We understand there's going to be a renewed scope of work based upon the needs today, which are different than the needs previously. But we think there's value to both the voters and the taxpayers as well as the student in having obviously multiple subject matter experts and people providing opportunity and how to get there, right? There's experiences and lessons learned that all people in the room have, and obviously if you put it opportunities into the marketplace, you have opportunity to find the best value through engineering, innovation, and you're guaranteed to have that best value for the district. And certainly with the challenges today, we feel there's opportunity. So again, I want to say a couple things. Thank you for the opportunities to partner with y'all in the past. And certainly we hope to partner with y'all in the future and use our expertise in the next evolution of where the maintenance program moves forward. So thank you.
Thank you. Young lady?
Hi.
How you doing?
Good. My name is Jacqueline Richard. I'm here to represent the School Nutrition Association of Louisiana. I'm also the School Nutrition Program Director from Calcasieu Parish.
What item are you speaking on, ma'am?
3.6, thank you.
3.6,
Food Service
okay.
Management
Thank
Company. Given the similarities in our parish size of Calcasieu and Lafayette with the student enrollment, school sites, and the number of cafeteria employees, I feel like I understand the complexities of your school nutrition department. And I came to persuade you against looking into a food service management company and turning over the control to someone who is looking to profit themselves. I've personally worked for Aramark and Sodexo, and I'm familiar with how food service management companies operate. There are two major concerns that I would like for you to consider. This will negatively impact your cafeteria staff, who are parents, grandparents, voting members of your community, and who do incredibly important work. The food service management companies cut costs by cutting labor. They consolidate, reduce, and absorb employees into their company, thereby making them ineligible for benefits and retirement through TRSL. Food service management company benefit and retirements cannot compare with TRSL, and many of our employees come here for that. This will also negatively impact your students. Because of the reduced workforce and the cut in costs, food service management companies typically serve prepackaged, processed, heat and served lower quality meals. They do not cook from scratch. They often close kitchens entirely, satelliting meals from one location to the other. Louisiana Department of Education Child Nutrition Program knows firsthand the low quality meals and the complaints from parents and students. Sorry, I lost my track. At charter sites, because this does happen at charter sites, and they're firsthand, they know these complaints. And they're happy to share their experiences with you, as they have with Mr. Regard already. Low quality meals means your students stop eating with you. Your students need these meals, and your child nutrition program needs these funds. I know that there are issues within the department because it's big, and as is mine. I also know that you can solve these issues locally because districts across Louisiana do that every day, including Calcasieu Parish. We do it successfully and financially stable. For over 10 years, the school nutrition program in Calcasieu Parish has made a profit every year. The difference is we take the profit and we invest it locally in our staff with raises, in our higher quality ingredients, and the equipment in the cafeteria. Food service management companies make a profit and line their pockets. I hope you consider voting against this. Thank you.
You must have had that time perfect because you went right down to 3 minutes. Please, no applause during the meeting, please. Thank you. Any other public comment? Any board comment? Mr. Lejeune, you want to read the resolution? You asked to read a resolution?
Yes, sir, I do. I would like to read, before I read the resolution, though,
Yes.
I'd like to speak on 3.6.
Okay.
I am going as a retired educator, speak in support of the cafeteria ladies and the cafeteria gentlemen. Thank you for all of what you do each and every day. You are the first person they see usually in the morning. They appreciate the hot meals. They appreciate what you do for them. And without you, a lot of these young students wouldn't have the opportunity to have quality meals each and every day. So again, thank y'all for what you do, and hope everything works out in your favor. Thank you.
Which resolution, Mr. Lejeune?
Yes, sir. I want to read resolution 0.02-025-2115. It is National School Counseling Week, which was February 3rd through the 7th. All right, whereas the American School Counselor Association sponsors the National School Counseling Week to focus public attention on the unique contribution of professional school counselors within all school systems, and whereas school counselors are actively committed to helping students explore their abilities, strengths, interests, and talents as these traits relate to career awareness and development, and whereas school counselors help parents focus on ways to further the educational, personal, and social growth of their children, and whereas school counselors work with teachers and other educators to help students explore their potential and set realistic goals for themselves, and whereas school counselors seek to identify and utilize community resources that can enhance and complement comprehensive school counseling programs and help students become productive members of society, and whereas comprehensive developmental school counseling programs are considered an integral part of the educational process that enables all students to achieve success in school, and therefore be it duly resolved that the Lafayette Parish School Board does hereby designate the week of February 3rd through the 7th, 2025 as National School Counseling Week.
Thank you, Mr.
Counselors,
Lejeune.
congratulations, and thank you again for what you do for the students, the parents, and the communities in which you serve. Thank you.
Ms. Trahan?
Thank you, Mr. President. I have two resolutions that I'll read tonight. The first is the Black History Month Resolution 02-025-2114. Whereas the children of each community are our nation's greatest resource, and whereas our ideal as a nation has been and continues to be e pluribus unum, out of many comes one, and whereas the Lafayette Parish School Board believes that students should be educated for life in a diverse society, and whereas the Lafayette Parish School Board strives to ensure educational equality for citizens, especially minority students, and whereas African Americans have made numerous and significant contributions to this nation and the world, and whereas February has been designated nationally as Black History Month to provide an opportunity for all Americans to deepen their understanding of the African American experience. Now, therefore, it be resolved that the Lafayette Parish School Board does hereby proclaim February 1st through the 28th, 2025 as Black History Month, and that the schools are urged to observe the proclamation through appropriate activities which focus on this year's theme of the Black family, representation, identity, and diversity, and assist all students in gaining a greater understanding of the contributions which African Americans have made and continue to make toward improving society. The second resolution is Resolution 02-025-2122, resolution to execute agreement to receive funds from Act 776 of the 2024 regular legislative session, whereas Lafayette Parish School System is a recipient of a line item appropriation contained in Act 776 of the 2024 regular legislative session in the amount of $83,000 to benefit Northside High School. Therefore, be it resolved that the Lafayette Parish School Board authorizes the superintendent to execute the agreement with the Louisiana State Treasurer on behalf of the board.
Thank you. Any other board comment? Ms. LeBou?
First off, with regard to the resolution she just read off, I'd like to thank Representative Timmy Shassel. I know he was instrumental in getting this $83,000 for Northside High. I know he wanted to be here tonight, but you know it's awesome. Sometimes people say that you run for the school board just so you can get to another position, but when you're on the school board, you realize you are limited by the funding that you are getting from the state, and so it is important for us to, I think, take the knowledge that we earn here and go to a larger position and be able to realize the lessons that you've learned from how to run a school system, the needs of a community and a school system, and be able to go and advocate for our school system. So I do want to thank him. And I also would ask Mr. Hammonds maybe just to clarify, I had a couple calls today about 3.16, 3.17, and 3.18, because I think several people were worried that we were changing the dedication of the tax. And my short explanation to them was that no, that because of the legislative session, what can be taxed was changed. But if you could elaborate on that so they understand that we're not monkeying with the purpose and the dedication of the tax.
I'll be happy to do that. If you'll notice, 3.16 refers to the tax of 1965, 3.17 refers to the tax of 1988, and 3.18 refers to the tax of 2002. Those were tax propositions that were submitted to the voters in those years and approved, primarily for the benefit of supplemental pay and benefits for employees. Though each of those resolutions was passed in accordance with the laws that existed at that time. So those resolutions would say, and I'm obviously making up the numbers, but that these taxes are levied in accordance with Louisiana Revised Statute, cite the number. Well, all three of those resolutions do that, but as a result of the changes in the tax code and other package presented by the governor in the recent session, some of which will be voted on by the public here soon, the numbers, the statute numbers have changed. And so the numbers that were in place in 1965, 1988, and 2002 will no longer be in place. And so this is not changing anything except those references, those numbers, to make them consistent with the new statutory numbers that would have to be utilized for the collection of the tax. The purpose for the collection is not changed, the amount is not changed, nothing is being changed here at all except the statutory reference in the resolution.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Bergeron?
The only thing I have is on 3.6. Just for clarification, Mr. Touchette, this is just authorizing you to go see if even a proposal is worthwhile to enter into, correct? Like, this is not going to affect, again, staffing at this time.
As previously stated, again, this is to open up the door to kind of see what's out there. And again, I'm not saying this has nothing to do with staffing whatsoever. Again, the state has said that we have to come to you before and get permission for us even to look. If we decide to move forward, by all means, we have to come back to you to give you whatever we want to do moving forward.
That was going to be my next question. If you do come back if you do find a company, you say, I think this is worthwhile, you have to come back to the board and we have to approve that RFP again.
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much.
Any other board comment? Mr. Edmonds?
Yes, Mr. President, I want to just make a comment. First of all, I know it's Black History Month, and there's a lot of schools in the district that's doing Black History programs. I wish I could attend them all, but I know that what I'm hearing is excellent. I want to just thank the principals, the counselors, the teachers who put that on to shed light on what's going on Black History Month throughout this district. Second thing, I want to also thank Dr. Timmy Sancho, who was a former school board member, about the $83,000 that's going on the north side that's very much needed over at the north side campus. And with everything else that's going on, with education, with training, I just wanted the public to know that this board is required to do 6 hours of training per year. And I think every board member on this thing at least tripled that amount this year. And also did the required hour of English training. So when everything's coming up our direction, we are always getting educated, trained, and to get familiarized with what's coming down our direction. So I want to thank all the board members for being dedicated to what we're doing for the kids in the district.
Thank you, Mr. Ed. Mr. Hidalgo?
Yes, Mr. President, item 3.21 regarding policy BBC, school board committees. I just wanted to mention what was happening here, or if you want to take the floor and mention.
You take it, sir.
Okay, so basically the Finance Committee, which was a standing committee, is now being consolidated with the Board Insurance Committee. So now it's a school board insurance finance committee. And then the Legislative Committee, which we talked about last year, and we were just a little too late to the game. The president has instituted a legislative committee so that we can pay attention to and follow law bills that are being filed and potential laws that are going to go into effect related to education. Last session, the regular session, I mean, it was a downpour. It was cats and dogs of education bills, depending on who you are, some good, some bad. And I don't expect it to be much less of a downpour this year. And so thank you, Mr. President, for putting that committee forward. You've appointed members to the committee. I want to thank you for appointing me to the committee. I assure you that I will take the responsibility seriously. Thank you.
Thank you. While on that subject, it's Mr. Lejeune, Ms. Hidalgo, and Ms. Mason will serve this year. And anyone interested can ask next year. This is the first year of the committee. We'll see. We have an education specialist. We have a gentleman here that has done some lobbying work, and we have Ms. Mason. So we'll move forward with this. Ms. Mason, you have a comment?
Yes. Just wanted to talk again on 3.6. I've had lengthy discussions with Francis Touchette about this. You know, I grew up eating the school lunch every single day, no matter what. Always tried to get more than they would give me. And because I had practice after school, I had practice before school sometimes when I was swimming. Having good food at our schools is part of our culture. And that's something that Francis and I talked about, again, even today. The goal is to have the best food for our kids. And the other thing I talked about was making sure that we have the best employees and we pay them fairly and pay them a living wage to come to our school. When Woodvale's cafeteria caught on fire, my house is right there, and we jumped the fence to go make sure that the cafeteria workers were not there yet. And they came in right as the fire engine came through. They have the keys to the school. They're the first at the school. They're the last at the school. So this exploration of the food service company is just that. It's looking at what the best solution is and making sure that y'all are compensated fairly in the end. So thank you.
Ms. LeBou?
I just want to say that I know that this, there seems to be a lot of we're kind of mimicking the national trend right now. We're going through and we're looking at each budget line item. So I know there's a lot of hard decisions that the superintendent and the staff are having to make right now. And we're having to work with them on the budget, but we're going through each line item, or the staff and the superintendent is, and we're going through each contract and reevaluating it, and to find that savings, find the best best use of the taxpayer dollars and best optimization of our budget. So I know there are a lot of things coming through that are scary, but if we don't explore options and make sure that we're using our dollars to the best of our ability for the most efficient purpose, for the best use of our students, we're going to end up in the same problem as the national budget. And I will say we have a $500 million budget, approximately, correct? 1/5 of that is insurance. So you're really working with 4/5 of our budget aside from insurance. And then I believe that now almost 90% of that remaining money goes to salaries. How much? Yeah. 250-ish million goes to salary. So we have to make sure that every contract that we're using, we want to make sure we can pay as much salary as possible. And for us to do that, we have to make sure that every other dollar is efficient. So just understand that there's a lot of things coming down the pipeline for us, but we're trying to mimic the national trend. We're trying to make sure that we're as respectful and efficient as possible. And I just commend this board and I commend the superintendent and staff for doing such a great job on that. So thank you.
Mr. DeZarmo?
I just want to say the same as most, nobody wants to cut anything and nobody wants to put anybody in jeopardy. But as a board member, we are responsible for taxpayers' money. So we have to explore certain options, even if it's uncomfortable. We hate it. We don't even like talking about it behind the doors. It's just something that we have to do as a board member, as a voted member of society. So just please understand that nobody's pointing fingers anywhere on any cuts. This is just something we have to go through to be good to our taxpayers and our voters.
Any other board member comment? Mr. Lejeune?
Thank you, Mr. President. I want to talk a little bit about 3.5, the Army ROTC Magnet Academy program at Acadian High. Mr. Touchette, can you kind of give a brief summary as to what the issue is with this and having to close it? And if there are any students that want to be in an ROTC program, do they have the opportunity to go to COMO if they want to pursue ROTC?
So first of all, we'll definitely take the first one, the second one. Yes, we'll definitely make sure if kids want to, we'll provide hardships there. Secondly, as far as JROTC, again, regretfully, it has to start with having someone who is qualified as an instructor. Numerous times that the staff has reached out and we have not been successful in getting someone. And again, I hate even talking about closing, but we definitely have to move forward because there's nothing in the future that we're looking at that would help us to kind of just keep this moving. So we will definitely work with Como High School. We'll definitely offer those students an opportunity if they want to go, and then we'll make sure that those kids are taken care of.
And the building, the ROTC building at Acadian High, is there an opportunity to be repurposed for classroom usage?
Yeah, I've actually sent Mr. Robert Gautreaux and them over there. Again, we have 30 plus portable buildings. He has already gone there and looked, and it looks like we can probably make about 3 to 4, possibly 5 classrooms out of that building. Again, it has restroom facilities, so it will not go to waste. It will be something that will be utilized by students, because we do have half of the students at Acadiana High School that go out in the inclement weathers when certain things happen.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other board comment? Before I go to the vote, I'll ask for privilege on, I'm not going to read it, but I just want to mention I support and sponsor for Ms. Martin the National Teen Dating Violence Awareness and Prevention Month. I do that every year. And I can't leave here without looking at the deputy over there, our SRO, and the National School Resource Officer Appreciation Day. Thank you, Deputy. With that said, ladies and gentlemen, no, it's pulled. Yeah, you good? Madam Secretary, I'll call for the vote. No.
Nine for, none against.
Because all items not pulled have been approved, we'll move on to the 2 items that were pulled. 3.1, academics discussion and or action concerning the acceptance of $1.9 million gift from the Pugh Family Foundation. Can I have a motion, please?
I'd like to move approval.
A second.
Second.
Okay, Mr. Bergeron, seconded by Mr. Edmond, that the board approve the acceptance of $1.9 million gift from the Pugh Family Foundation and other community philanthropic partners to support the implementation of the Accelerating Campus Excellence, that's ACE model, at Alex Boucher Elementary for the next 3 academic years, 2025-26, 2026-27, and 2027-28. Is there any public comment on this?
I just want to start off by saying, obviously, I'm so excited that we have the money and this is funded. I just want to go back to in our November meeting, I tallied up the total that it was supposed to cost for the ACE model. It was $1,700. I apologize, $1,722,549. We have been generously given $1.9 million. So I was just curious about what the extra money would be going to cover. As a teacher who is currently there, I've been there 5 years. I have my husband's grandma taught there for many years. I literally planted the trees there 15 years ago in the driveway. So I am very invested in the school, and I just would ask that if that truly is a surplus, if I did my math correct, if that is money that's there, I would ask that that money please go for the students, getting them supplies. Many of them do not come with their school supplies. They don't pay their fee. You only get fee money at that school if you have a homeless student, which is tragic. And I would ask that that money goes to bettering the school because several teachers are teaching in Butler buildings. We just voted and approved many expenses to improve these other campuses, but I think lots of times we overlook these campuses on the north side. I'm still wondering when we're gonna have our improvements to rebuild North Side and Paul Bro, and I would just ask, I'm very excited for this generous gift, but I just ask that please, if there's any surplus, that it goes to the students, have extra uniforms there for the students, do whatever you can to help them, because whether I am there or not next year, that is my home, and I love those children, and I just want to make sure that they're cared for. So that is just my piece. That's all I wanted to say. It gets me emotional, so I
Thank you. You did good. Any other public comment? Any board comment before we go to the presentation of the check?
Can I just say one point you brought up? We do have a homeless department, so if there is a student that is homeless, please contact the LPSS. There's a homeless department. They provide them with all of the supplies that they need for school, backpack, uniforms, and they, I think everybody eats free for breakfast and lunch, but they used to do give them breakfast and lunch as well. So please, if you know anybody that needs that resource, please contact LPSS. And we'll be able to help them. It's anybody that is unhoused, unstable housing, or homeless. Thank you.
Mr. Edmond?
Ma'am, as your board member for Alice Boucher, I will work hand in hand with every administration that's coming in. I think you already know that. And with the Pew Foundation, I have a relationship, and we have resources within those relationships to accommodate every kid moving forward.
Thank you, Mr. Edmond. Superintendent, you want to say something before we go to the vote and take a picture?
First of all, let me just start off by saying again, thank you to Mr. Pugh. Thank you for his kind contribution. First of all, the first pillar, and the one thing that I want to acknowledge is that our team did their homework, and we made sure that we found the right principal and we found the right assistant principal. I'm happy to say that our principal and assistant principal is here in the audience, and I'd like to acknowledge those two individuals right now in front of everyone to make sure that you know that these are the people that will make the difference at Alice Boucher. Our principal, Ms. Tara Walker. And our assistant principal, Ms. Allison Klaus. I will say that again, we just don't go pick people. We make sure that they are proven leaders, and no doubt Ms. Walker and Ms. Klaus are those, and they will make a difference for our kids at Alice Boucher. Thank you, ladies.
I'm going to go ahead and call for the vote, but before I'll do that, I just want to let everybody know the principal and assistant principal are both coming from District 5. No. We don't care what you used to be. It's what you are now. Thank y'all very much for the job y'all did doing District 5. Madam Secretary, I'll call for the vote. Board members, I'll ask all of you to go to the front so we can get a check.
Nine for, none against.
Janine.
I'm not discussing that with you, Mr. DeZormo. Final agenda item is 2.23, Superintendent. It's the authorization of the superintendent to implement a reduction in force, RIF. Mr. Bergeron, you pull that?
Yes, sir. I recommend that the board I ask that the board authorize superintendent to implement a reduction in force, RIF, of existing personnel if necessary.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Bergeron, second by Ms. LeBou, that the board authorize the superintendent to implement a reduction in force of existing personnel only if necessary. Any public comment? Ms. Reed?
Okay. Julia Reed, President, Lafayette Parish Association of Educators. First, I would like to say I understand, that we do, and so does staff, every teacher, custodian, food nutrition worker. We're all aware that we have budgetary problems. They feel the pinch too at the grocery store. They feel the pinch when they go to CVS. We feel the pinch everywhere. So we do understand that you are also feeling the pinch. However, at this time, our organization cannot support the item as written, and that it is too vague when it says if necessary. Necessary can mean a lot of different things to a lot of different people. At about 4:30 when that agenda hit, and I know this is not his intention, every teacher, every custodian, every para saw that and thought, oh my God, am I going to have a job next year? And we are about to go into the testing season, and people should not be teaching from a place of fear. It is very hard to provide the support students need coming from a place of fear. And so we would ask that this could be modified to time limit it, to limit it to certain positions, to limit it in a scope of number, to limit to some sort of budget. We looked up some previous actions, and they all referenced if teachers could not be placed with a budget. And we currently don't have a budget for next year. They also haven't done staffing, and I think it is a little premature to freak out your staff when you don't actually know whether you're going to have to cut anybody or not. Also, the policy states that when faced with circumstances which may necessitate a reduction of personnel, all feasible alternatives to layoffs of employees will be considered prior to the implementation of the provisions stated herein. We are curious about what feasible alternatives did the board consider prior to this reduction in force. And again, it is very vague. We would like to see some limitations placed on it. Personnel does impact the budget, which is within the scope of the board's duties, is to supervise the budget. And so we would ask that some limits be placed on it. We understand that we may have to face this at one point, but we are asking that you not stress people out, not cause undue concern and disruptions to schools until it is absolutely necessary. Thank you.
Any other public comment?
Mr. President, right quick, I don't know if it's necessary for her to stay up, but I'd like to respond to that.
Go ahead. They had no more public comment. We're on board comment. You can go ahead.
I was asked by someone very near and dear to me not to respond to this item, but I'm going to because I think it's valuable information. So first I want to say that this is not to correct you. This is just to say I don't think we're in a pinch. I think we're in just quite a bit more than a pinch right now. And I do want to say that there have been reduction in force recommendations. I know at least once when I was on the board prior, but possibly twice. And they are unfortunately necessary. They're forgive me for not finding the word I'm looking for, but it's kind of necessary for some of the other things that we're trying to do regarding staffing. I do not want educators teaching from a position of fear, and so let tonight be the night that we kind of calm those fears. However, I mean, we do have to teach and we do have to govern from a position of reality, and this is the reality that we're in. The rifts that we've seen here in the school system before in the recent decade or more have not impacted us. Attrition takes care of most of it, but they're kind of a necessary evil to some of the other things we're trying to accomplish here. And I don't know if you want to speak to it, Superintendent. This is kind of a prereq to some of the things that we're trying to accomplish as it relates to staffing. And I understand how it goes when we have to do things like this. I don't want to talk about pupil-teacher ratios increasing, but we don't know what's going to happen as we get into our budget cycle. And so these things have to be implemented. We've never seen a RIF where we have started laying off masses of people. And I'll tell you this, we're not in a position, I'll say this confidently, we're not in a position where if you're a highly effective teacher, you show up to work and you do your job, you don't have anything to worry about here. So I hate that we're talking about it, but it's necessary, and I just want to make sure that we do comfort the thousands of teachers and educators and staff that work in the school system. So please speak to it.
Thank you.
Ms. Mason.
I know that Francis is going to have a lot to say about this, but Ms. Reed, I always appreciate your comments, and I know you're doing your job, defending all of the teachers and keeping their jobs. But I just want to be crystal clear. If just in my second term and in y'all's first term, we have had one of the hardest years in deciding what to keep open, what to close. We've had several meetings, 4 or 5. How long was that meeting? 7 hours? Midnight? Guys, we're not in a pinch, we're in a crisis. Anthony, sorry, I'm not using proper names, Mr. Dugas, or can you remind us of what kind of budget deficit we're looking at?
We're still waiting on a bunch of numbers. Basically, MFP is the big one that we're waiting on, and the final numbers from property taxes, and then the efforts in staffing. That's the 3 big numbers we're waiting on. There are definitely some challenges.
Right, but in the ballpark number, at some point.
So let me kind of clarify.
I just want to make it very clear that we have been spending this entire year looking at what we can cut, what we can optimize, what we can make more efficient. And looking at a RIF is the very last thing that we want to do. But we have to make sure that we have the best working for us and that our children are getting the best. So thank you, Francis.
Mr. Hidalgo?
And I do want to say we didn't pull the item, but I don't remember ever hearing a superintendent cut $1.5 million from central office. That makes me cringe because guess what? There's going to be services that are going to be cut. But we hear from the public all the time, why don't you cut the fat cats at central office? We don't have fat cats at central office. We got people who are busting their tails every day doing their job. But guess what? $1.5 million tonight was approved to cut from central office, ladies and gentlemen. So congratulations to those who've been asking for it. I don't think it's ever been done in the history of our school system. And central office is an extreme small percentage of our entire budget. Central office, ladies and gentlemen, is necessary. I'm not saying every single position is, but the superintendent, let me repeat it, $1.5 million was cut from central office tonight. So let's keep that in mind also as we move forward.
Superintendent.
So first of all, board members, members of the public, the reason why we asked for this agenda item to be put is, first of all, we have to get your permission. And the reason why we're getting your permission is that in November, there were decisions to close schools. We have 2 schools that are not going to be online next year. So that means that there's going to be less positions. Now, let's be clear on this. We have over 148 teachers without certificates. We have over 48 teachers with end of the year hires. So let's just round it up as 200 positions that we need teachers. I can guarantee you the 2 schools that we closed, we will have enough spots with 200 spots. I will tell you is that what we're looking at is that when we start closing schools, we have to have a know of what we're going to do with these positions that may be assistant principals, maybe it's principals. I'm not saying we're going to use this. I'm saying that we have to have this because you as a board, we decided to close 2 schools. We're going into staffing and we need to make decisions, and putting this in place gives us an opportunity that if we have to start telling people where their jobs are, we know where their jobs are. I don't want to have people waiting. I don't want teachers waiting. We're fighting against districts throughout the state, and they're going to be looking at some of our personnel. We want to make sure that we have this, and I assure all of the teachers out there, we're going to take care of our teachers. We are doing this to make sure that we are ready in case something does happen, to where we can get all of our staff members placed. We will make sure that we report to you as a board as we go through this process, and we'll keep you up to date of what is happening along this. But again, we're going into staff. $1.5 million we cut at central office. There's a lot of things, and I told this to the LE representatives. There's a lot of things that are happening at schools that we're coming back in April because there's a lot of wasteful spending that's happening at schools. And there'll be more cuts because that is not fair to the taxpayers' dollars. We have not looked at this like we're looking at it now, but we're going to look at it and we're going to make sure we come back. And if it's something that is of waste, Bill notice we're cutting it.
Mr. Bergeron?
Yeah, so I debated pulling this, but I figured it was worth the discussion tonight to kind of ease some concerns and some fears around what a reduction in force. The last time this was done in 2016 was the last one I saw in the agenda, in the board docs. That was done in, I think, March in anticipation of a budgeting issue, right, where we had to do a reduction for. So it usually comes before the budget happens. But to give you some numbers, because I asked for some numbers a while back on charter transfers, in 2015, the total amount of money sent to charters, which is state and local revenues, was $16,196,651. I think these are the estimates for 2025. So these are the ones that I think we budgeted for or we think is going to happen. That number is now $62,238,443. So if you do the math, that's about $46 million extra dollars per year, give or take. That's not in the school system anymore. That's going to charter schools. The population numbers, right, for students, in 2021 and 2022, we had about 2,400 kids that went from LPSS to charter schools. That number is now 4,800. And we're anticipating an expansion of LRCA and charter school in Broussard. So I can promise you, I would put money on it that number is only going to get higher. All right, so we have less students, we have less funding. In November, we brought district optimization processes here. Some of them passed, some of them failed. As an accountant once told me one time, you can only squeeze that tube of toothpaste so hard, it's got to come out somewhere. When I talked with Superintendent Touchette about it the other day, he was like, look, this is only going to be if necessary. We're going to make sure we try and place educators, right? We've been saying for years there's a shortage of educators. Like, if we can find educators in place, we're going to put them in there first before we start doing a reduction in force. So I'm going to follow it really closely. I want to make sure that we continue to do it. That we only do what's necessary to make sure we correct the budget and we don't get too heavy-handed in this process. I know it's scary, right? I'm not gonna say that this is fun stuff that we do sometimes. Everybody says, like, run for school board, it'll be fun. These are things that keep us up at night and make sure that we're making the right decisions for the system, for our kids as well. Because I mean, any kind of layoff of an educator, any kind of reduction there is gonna hit our students the hardest, and that's the decision we have to make. And hopefully, we make some good decisions here, and we do it what's in the best interest of the students at the end of the day. So thank you all. Appreciate it.
Ms. LeBeau?
I just want to say that, the legislature in their infinite wisdom tasked us with, or legislatively put into place that the superintendent is our employee, but everybody else is his employee. So we're not allowed to interfere with the hiring, firing of any employee, but yet he has to come to us and ask for this reduction in force. Again, a reason why I think that it would, the legislature would serve well to be on a school board before they go to serve in the legislature, because you realize that these kind of things contradict each other. I apologize, Ms. Williams, for the fear and the anxiety. I know that this causes teachers. Again, this is not something that should be decided by the board. It should be a decision by the superintendent based on the staffing needs of the school at the time. But unfortunately, this has to come before us legislatively, even though we're not allowed to interfere with the hiring, firing of anybody. So I do apologize for the anxiety, but this is not, as everybody has explained, not put in place because we want it to be announced that we feel like we may have some staff reduction. It's more of a necessity because of the legislature. So hopefully we'll get this removed in the future from having to be brought before the board. Thank you.
Mr. Lachele, real quick.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, we have had reduction in force in the past in 16 and 17. But I would like to note that we are already met with the majority of our schools and have one more day of staffing to staff our schools. which we are months ahead of schedule. So we've never staffed schools this early, so that way we know where we are in the process, because we do want to put at ease for our employees. So, but as stated, we do need the board's approval for the superintendent to do what he needs to do in case it does need to happen. But we are ahead of the staffing this year and the superintendent has made it his priority that we move forward with this.
Thank you, Ms. Gardner. I'll call for the vote.
Nine for, none against.
Motion carries. That was the last item on the agenda. This meeting is adjourned.
No.
What?
Mr. President, I move that the board go into executive session to discuss
I'm
action
sorry.
concerning litigation involving a workers' compensation claim.
Second.
That's 4.0, discussion and or action concerning litigation involving workman's compensation plan. I do need better glasses. We need a vote. All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? Let's go into executive session.
Mr. President, I move we go back into regular session.
Have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? We're back in regular session. I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. President, I move that we accept council's recommendation regarding litigation involving a workers' compensation claim.
Second.
Any public comment? Any board comment? Madam Secretary, we'll do a voice vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. That is the final item on the agenda. Adjourned. Sorry, Desiree.